recognize how good it is, but it's not, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't affect me emotionally. It doesn't make me feel as connected to the work as like a Chris Sonding, with that Alex Toth sort of very simplistic, you know, every night has a purpose. Dan Moore is, you know, Dan Moore is like that too.
Okay. So they say you can't go home again.
Right.
But you started as a reader, DC superhero stuff. You were on staff at DC, you've written DC stuff on and off, and now you're back writing 2 very well-received books. Is it very
Titans.
Titans.
Teen Titans with Emma Lucchino. That's all right. That's all right.
So, can you come home again? I mean, how is it different this time?
It's different this time because they let me do what I want to do, which is really nice. It's Marie Javins and Paul Kaminsky and all the editors and folks I work with, Jim Lee, they've all been super supportive. They realize I've had an itch to write Superman stuff forever and not really had a good chance to dig into that. And so they've just been very supportive. It's the freedom I've been given to sort of carve out a little corner of my own in the DC universe, the little world's finest corner.
Right.
Is a fun place to be because then I get to play out of continuity, but I get to play with all of the toys that you and I love, like the Metal Man or whoever.
Yeah, using all those AI characters was such a clever use.
And Dan Moore loves drawing stuff he's never drawn before. Whatever it is, he loves drawing it. No matter what character I throw at him, he's like, I love that character. Great.
So, in theory, we've got, 10 minutes left, but we can go 12.
Yeah.
So, before I ask anything else, sir, do you have a question?
Yes. First, Mark, I'd love to see you come back to Captain America. I thought your last run was awesome.
Thanks, but never again. I can't. Actually, I'll tell you why. Not just because of the nostalgia factor, but because the America's changed. I mean, our country's changed so much in that time, and that character has to be about America.
I agree.
You can't just tell stories with him versus Cobra and Mr. Hyde all the time. But I don't know how to do that in the current atmosphere, certainly in a way that Disney would go, oh, that sounds great. Let's say alienate a quarter of our audience. I don't know how to do that.
That's an honest answer. I thought Steve Spencer really tapped into that. Another reason why it didn't sell because of the country and the political.
Yeah.
Actually,
but you had a question. I'm sorry. I picked
No. I think an honest answer. I also want to say I agree with your statement about the industry because you were there at the panel back. Oh my God, how many years ago in Columbus, New York, when it was Joe Kubert, Carmen Infantino, and Julie Swartz, and they all went down and they were dead. Was the only one that said, as long as there's pictures and there's dialogues, this form will always exist, and I see in my school what the future is. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a guy that knows what's going on. So I thank you for that. But I do want to ask, your issue of Fantastic Four back in the day, that you turned around and when they went to heaven and you had Jack Kirby as the creator, which I thought was one of the best fantastic stories of all time. Comments, opinions, how you came up with that, how you felt about it. I mean, as a fan, I was emotional when I saw it was Jack Kirby, didn't see it coming.
My answer to this is the same as my answer to a lot of questions, which is I was on the phone with Tom Hyer, who is a great writer, who doesn't get enough credit. He's now doing stuff at Ahoy Comics, but I've known him forever. And Tom and I talk about that story all the time, and I don't know this for a fact, but I cannot swear that it wasn't Tom who said, well, Jack Kirby is the guy who would be creating the Marvel Universe. I didn't want them to go to heaven, though. I didn't want them to go there because I wanted to keep taking the FF to places they've never been before. The trick is that it can't be something they can do again. It can't be. That's always the problem when you're writing a villain plot or when you're writing a situation where a character is going someplace that is really super unusual, is you've got to build it so that you can't duplicate that. Because otherwise we'll have Dr. Doom use the same method next time, but just better.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In your career, it seems like your job choices were eclectic.
That's a fair way of saying it, yeah.
One thing that's like your writing style that I love, you've done Street Level Daredevil, you've done Galaxy, Legion, you've done, and a lot of writers today, I feel like, I don't know if it's purposely pigeonholed or self-selectively pigeonholed, or I don't know if pigeonholed is the right term. How did you, and maybe it wasn't the how do you think you were able to manage on your writing career where you could almost write in any type of story?
I love the characters. That's really it. I mean, everything comes from my love of these characters, and every story comes from these characters. if you see me write a giant fight scene, I don't really care. It just has to be there. What I really care about is the conversations that Superman can have with Wonder Woman, that Batman can have with Robin, or voices that I've never seen. This is why I put the Doom Patrol in the first run of World's Finest, because I've never seen Batman and the Doom Patrol in a story together.
Not that I can think
No,
of.
or really even Superman, except the newer Doom Patrol, not the old Doom Patrol.
True.
So those are conversations that need to be had. I've never seen Dick Grayson and Supergirl have a conversation.
True.
They've
You
been
would think.
You think, but they've been around for a cumulative 80 years, but they've never had a conversation. So that's why I put them together in a story. So it's all about how much I love the characters. The venue, I worry about later.
Sir?
Mark, I was wondering if you could, this is one of my favorite Mark Waid anecdotes, and I'd love to hear it live.
Please.
If you could talk about the store appearance that was somewhat less than advertised.
Yes, okay. So, this is right after Kingdom Come, living in Brooklyn, and I get a call from a college radio station. They want to do an interview. Fine, did that. At the end of the interview, they said, listen, we've got a store up here. We'd like you to do a store signing. We'd fly you all and stuff. I've never been to Vermont. It's an hour's flight from Brooklyn. I've never been to Vermont. That might be nice. I fly to Burlington, Vermont on a Saturday afternoon, and I get there, and two college kids pick me up at the airport, and they're driving me around in the back of their Volvo, and they're showing me Burlington. And here's the restaurant district, and look, here's the school district. And I'm like, that's awesome. Where's the store? And here's where the university is, and this is downtown. That's awesome. Where's the store? There is no store. There is no store. They just brought me there to talk to me about comics. And at that moment, I'm in the back of their Volvo. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no flights back at that point. I have two choices. I can either blow up, or I can just lean into it and roll with it. And that's what I had to do. So so we get dinner at like 5 o'clock, because and we get to the hotel at like 7 o'clock. And this is before cell phones were a huge thing. So then I called everyone I knew from the hotel, saying, if you don't hear from me, this is the last place you can find me. I've seen misery. I know how this ends. Luckily, I got on the plane, all worked out.
Sir?
You mentioned how writing World's Finest is giving you access to a lot of different corners and pockets of the DCU. Are there any characters or particularly villains that you want to have in the stories that you haven't gotten a chance to use yet?
Oh, dude, I have a bingo chart that you wouldn't believe. I have a list of like 50 villains that I have not yet used, and so every month I just go cross out. I want to do a Time Commander story. I don't even know what I would do with the Time Commander. I want to do a story in Skartaris with the Warlord. I just don't know. I don't know what I would do, but I'm feeling that by the time I get there, maybe I'll figure something out. I still, and then we'll do this sooner than later. I still want to do the Bizarro Man-Bat team. Sure, we will get there. Bizarro Brainiac. I figured out who Bizarro Brainiac is. Ian Parkinson. So. There's so many.
Sir?
52 is one of my favorite DC stories ever. It's one of the first ones I ever read. So, what was it like working with those other writers?
Oh,
That's one of your massive writer collaborations.
Right. Oh, they were miserable. No, they were great. It was like a band. I mean, we were all on the same page right off the bat. I knew all I think Greg Rucka was the one who didn't know anybody else in the room except for Reputation and me. But everyone knew each other. And the secret to that book was that it was run by editor Steve Wacker, who had a background in improv comedy. And that made the difference, because the first rule of improv is you don't say no, you say yes and. And so that's how the room worked. When I was throwing a crazy idea, and somebody else would build on it, and we'd get to a point where either it works or it doesn't work, but the energy was never negative in that room. It was never, oh, that's stupid. Nobody was afraid to say anything. And I will tell you, and this comes from David Ogilvy, who is the president of Ogilvy and Matters, the company, the advertising company that you've seen on Mad Men, and came up with the Marlboro Man and stuff. And David Ogilvy said something I've never forgotten. The best ideas start as jokes, which is true. because jokes surprise you. And so a lot of it was just us just screwing around and joking. Hey, Mr. Mime, let's do Mr. Mime as a giant caterpillar. So, giant butterfly, whatever. Anyway, that was the process.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm coming from a different side of things, because
Yeah.
I'm just, I'd say like, what, 10 years into comics with these two.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I was introduced to the Unknown series last night.
Oh, you.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you more about it one-on-one later at your
Yeah.
booth, but we talked to you about the Kingdom Come and how we read that online yesterday. But I was curious of what is the origin of the Unknown? How did that inspire you to write that? Because it is so many different things that I'm very passionate about, but it impacted me hard last night.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask that question.
It's the unknown for everyone else in this room because nobody's ever heard of it. Although the book, they did an omnibus like a year ago or whatever, which may still be in print. I don't know if you know that series.
I got it.
The hook was, it was not a superhero series, the hook was, she was the world's greatest detective, the most brilliant mind on the planet, and she had a brain tumor that she knew she was going to die in a year. And she had to crack for herself the most important mystery of the universe, which is what happens after you die. And so that led her into different cases as she would explore, well, these people think they figured out what happens when you die. And then it would lead her into a mystery, it would lead her into some sort of macabre situation. And I did a few of those. And again, not to bring the room down, let's come up with a happy question after this.
Sorry.
But no, it's okay. But the artist unfortunately died in a tragic motorcycle accident after we did the second series. And so I just don't feel like I could do any more without him. He was so great. I don't know what happened to him after he died. So let's hope the best. Have a happy question.
Do you have a happy question?
No, please, don't be.
So, you've done thousands of books. What do you do with all your scripts?
They're sitting on my hard drive. That's it.
Okay. Roger.
Could you talk a little bit about the, what I think is the infamous unpublished Secret Origins issue?
There was a real flux period after Crisis where we weren't exactly sure what Superman's history was or wasn't. And a writer had done an origin of the Legion of Superheroes Clubhouse that was clever and worked, and I thought it was very nice, and we got Rich Attenborough to draw it. It was a nice job. And at the last second, someone else on staff, who will go unnamed, lost their shit. Because it didn't seem to jive with what, I think we busted our butt to make sure it at least fit between the cracks of current continuity, but not to their satisfaction. So we had to come up with a brand new Legion Clubhouse origin overnight. And this is, again, where the best ideas start as jokes, is we're trying to figure out what the origin of the Clubhouse could be. And it was Casey Carlson, who was an editor there, who said, well, you know, we always want to do a Legionnaire called Arm Fall Off Boy. Put him in the story, and you can make him, you know, he's Clubhouse Kid. That's his part. He was a member of the Legion. He's Clubhouse Kid. We built something out of that, so we got a better story out of it, actually. But those 12 pages can be found online.
Okay, you two in the back will be our last two questions because Mark and I actually have another panel.
Exactly. But you can find me at my table later on today. I'll be there. I'll be there at 2:07. I think I am. Anyway.
I was wondering if you had any comics or characters that you're absolutely disappointed in. Like you look back and you think you could have done a whole better.
Oh my God, so many. I mean, there's just so many books I could look. Every first time everybody looks back at the work and goes, "Oh my God, I could do better." I'm not being modest. I just don't know. There's so many. I did a bunch of Justice League quarterly stories that were really just me banging stuff out. Nothing comes immediately to mind, but trust me. I mean, I've written almost 2,000 comic books. There's some real clinkers in there. Exo Man of War. So, yeah.
Okay, last question. Oh,
Okay.
great, all right. So, Mark and I have to talk about mutants in 343, and he'll be at the table. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for coming.
And I want to, my